Welcome back to Switchstars and another quick review for you. My name's Luke, and in this video we're taking a look at Hentai RPG Isekai Journey, a match 3 puzzle game which comes to us from the same publisher who brought us Hentai Uni and Hentai Make Love Not War. And let's be honest now, the selling point of those games was most definitely not the gameplay. But how does this one fare, and is there much depth to its mechanics beyond the tried and tested formula? Well, hit that like button, subscribe for more Nintendo Switch reviews, and let's find out. So rather surprisingly, the game opens with a story, and for some reason the game's default language is Russian, but the second button took me to the options where I was able to flick it over to English. The story itself though is rather brief, and it basically has us playing as this anime-loving, chrome-domed One Punch Man lookalike who, after getting a little peckish, heads out to a cafe, but unfortunately gets struck by lightning and winds up in some anime world armed with a sword, or more likely he's just dead. But either way, that's about all you're getting with this one. While the game does have you conversing with 3 lovely ladies and you're given some dialogue options to select from, some of which, shall we say, are a little bit cheeky, they don't really add to the narrative or impact on the game whatsoever, so don't go in expecting too much of a plotline with this one, as it's certainly not the game's strong suit. So if you've owned a mobile phone in the last 10 years, then at some point you've probably played a match 3 game in one form or another, and the gameplay in Hentai RPG doesn't stray too far from the traditional formula. However, it does have a few interesting mechanics up its sleeve to set it aside from a few of the more mainstream ones. To start with though, the game plops you down on a kind of world map and gives you a choice of 3 locations to select from, each of them having 3 stages to battle through, and each home to a different anime cutie, which, as you'd expect, come equipped with skimpy clothing, fiery attitudes and ample bosoms, but it's entirely up to you where you start off. The gameplay has you doing the usual though, swapping pieces to form rows of 3, 4 or 5 similarly coloured tokens, with each successful match dealing damage to the girlies, or in the case of the green ones, healing you. Similarly to other match 3 games, matches of 4s and 5s create special diamonds which, when destroyed, restore your mana, seen as the blue bar at the bottom of the screen, which can then be spent on 3 different spells seen above it. The first rune-looking one re-scrambles the board, the axe deals damage to your opponents, and the final one heals you. So there is a little bit of strategy involved with the gameplay in order to maintain your mana supply and keep casting these abilities. Now below the enemy health bar is a countdown timer which, once it reaches 0, sees the enemy attacking, and while the first stage of each area doesn't pose too much of a challenge, the damage you take from these attacks in the second and third fights is frankly pretty ridiculous. In addition to this, each of the girls comes with a different set of mechanics for you to contend with the first of them switching out the tokens for demons which deal additional damage when you clear them, the second replacing tokens with rings which can only be cleared when they reach the bottom of the play area, and the final adding what appears to be poisonous gas around them, which I believe also deals damage to you. And these things combined mean the third fight is literally impossible, and if you don't manage to heal between enemy attacks, then you're pretty much dead after just a couple of hits. If you do manage to beat a girl, you'll be glad to know that you're rewarded with the removal of a piece of her clothing, but I'll let you know right now that if you've come to ogle at some bare anime titties, then you'll be very disappointed, as Nintendo has put a stop to that, so the most you're getting is some scantily clad cuties with this one. Now, failing in a level completely resets your progress in that stage and kicks you back to the main menu. However, throughout your attempts you'll gain gold, which can then be spent at the shop to permanently increase your stats, which include HP or your health pool, strength which affects your damage, int which affects your mana, or dit, which I have absolutely no idea of what it is or what it does. But these come in the form of random stat cards, so it's a little bit of a lottery as to which ones you'll upgrade. In addition to these, you can also buy single-use items which increase your healing, remove enemy tokens from the play area, or revive you when you die, and all of these will help you progress further and beat the clothes off your opponents, but not, it seems, without at least a bit of grinding. Now that is pretty much all there is to know about this one, and I actually thought it made a pleasant change from the usual low effort attempts made in most of these games. The difficulty and upgrades mechanics give the game a kind of roguelike feel to it, and while the mechanics themselves are all pretty simple and there's nothing too adventurous with this one, it's really not too bad all things considered. I do however think that the game could do with a lot more content, as each run sees you having to go through the same set of dialogue options and the same level layouts, which I forgot to mention, a couple of the levels have some ice blocks to break or indestructible steel blocks which limit your movement, and I would have liked to have seen more of these things. But all in all, it's a reasonably decent match-free game, nothing special, but if you enjoy these types of games, then it will definitely serve you well as a bit of a time filler game. To touch on the visuals and audio, nothing particularly outstanding about this one. We get some simple menus and the artwork is decent enough, but the characters are your generic anime chicks with very little to set them aside from any of them that you might have seen in other games. Audio wise, we get some decent sound effects, and the music is your usual combination of a happy fantasy theme for the menus and dramatic combat music for the battles, so nothing overly special on the audio and visual front. In conclusion though, when you compare it to the likes of Hentai Journey or any of the other tile swapping puzzle games I've featured in the past, Hentai RPG actually feels like a real game, albeit a rather simple tile matching puzzle game, but nevertheless I enjoyed the roguelike mechanics and its gameplay is fun enough, and so when it comes to a rating, I'm going to be giving Hentai RPG 2 out of 5 stars. Of all the hentai themed games I've played on the channel, which as a 37-year-old man is a shocking enough thing to say in itself, this one comes out around the top, which doesn't really say a lot for the genre as a whole, if you want to call it a genre, but it's certainly better than most of them. With that said though, do let me know your thoughts and opinions on this one down in the comments section below, drop me a like if this review helped you out, and be sure to check out my other content, and if you like what you see, consider subscribing to the channel. For now though, I just want to thank you all once again for watching, and until next time, take care of yourselves and game on.